Hello, today I will be discussing the southern border crisis. The relationship between Mexico and the U.S. has always been a political volleyball between America's two predominant political parties. Regardless of the different opinions that surround Mexico and its citizens, the relationship between these two countries is strong and incredibly vital. America and Mexico share a 2,000-mile border with 55 active land ports of entry. The United States Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs makes it a point to share that the scope of relations between the two is broad and goes far beyond diplomatic and official relations. Not only does their interaction encompass commercial, cultural, and educational ties, the number of undocumented immigrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border continues to spike. Because of the influx of immigrants, there has been a wave of Republican criticism surrounding the Biden administration. Due to what is going on, many ask if the traffic throughout the border is in fact a crisis. Others wonder what can be done to solve the wave of illegal immigration, as well as question who is to blame for the current conditions on the U.S. southern border. This situation is indeed a multi-layered one. There are many aspects in need of breaking down. First, is there a crisis on the border between the U.S. and Mexico? After doing some research about the occurrences on the border, I have noticed some important facets. First, many Americans are split with regards to what is the actual crisis. Although some are worried about the illegals pouring into the country, stealing the back-breaking task many U.S. citizens aren't willing to do, I am much more concerned about the multitude of human beings who get locked in cages at the border as if they were animals. An article released less than 3 years ago on humanrightswatch.org published a long list of testimonies shared by those who fell victim of ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. One testimony was one of a 14-year-old girl who explained that for 7 days she slept without a mattress. She was finally given one when she fell ill with the flu, but only because she was transported to what was called a flu cell. There, where her and 21 other sick children slept on the floor, but at least they had a mattress, right? Another testimony captures pain an 11-year-old boy underwent during his time in captivity. He too became ill. He continues by saying no one took care of him and a rash grew throughout his body. These are only two of the never-ending injustices that happen and continue to happen at the border each day. Each testimony I read lacked humanity, an insufficient amount of adult caregivers for innocent children, and a blatant disregard of health and hygiene. This is a real crisis. This is the real crisis, and America needs to own up to it. Second, it is important to ask what can be done to solve the wave of illegal immigration along the U.S. southern border. U.S. continues to have tightened their security along with the border, which has only slightly changed the number of people entering. Currently, the Biden administration is deciphering new ways in tackling the influx at the border. An article on CNN posted May 3, 2021 reports that one of the administration's priorities is to reduce the number of children in U.S. Border Patrol custody, as well as shifting emphasis on moving family and children out of Border Patrol custody as fast as possible, mostly because it is important to alleviate overcrowding and prolonged stays in these jail-like facilities. However, a proper solution to this problem demands a lot more focus. Many ask who is to blame for the current conditions of the U.S. southern border. Depending on which side you are viewing this from, answers vary. Nonetheless, it is important to realize almost all of those coming to the United States do so in search of a better life. These undocumented families flee war and many other problems pressing upon the chance of a healthy quality of life. I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, so why don't they just come here legally, right? Well, having lived in both Mexico and America, I have witnessed how hard it is to receive the proper papers granting entrance to the U.S. From what I have seen, it is nearly impossible, even when wanting to obtain the basic visitor's visa. Instead of being concerned with who is coming to America, we should be asking ourselves, why are people coming to America? I confidently say that almost everyone would want to fight for a better life, for themselves and for their family. We must recognize that those coming to America have been born in some of the most unfortunate circumstances. As Americans, we should be gracious of the geography we were given. The only real thing separating us from those coming here is the place stamped on our birth certificate. Thank you.